have you join us back. Of course, it's still Global Morning, and what a pleasure to welcome you on board to the discussion segments. But let's quickly talk to you because we know breakfast was served. I'm sure you liked that breakfast, which will keep you up with us on this conversation because it's actually an interesting one. I'm still Anita Patrick, and of course, I still have Mukhtar Kasim here with me.
Of course, I enjoyed that breakfast. I always like to do that. Yam and egg sauce with
you're the foodie, so I'm not surprised.
Tea and all of that. So, of course, and that will give us energy for the very important conversation that we have before us right now.
Okay, so Mukhtar is obsessed. Well, let's give you a guide to what our discussion is going to look like because we're going to be looking at preparedness ahead of Osun because, like I said, Ekiti has come and gone and Osun is next. So we're looking at INEC'S readiness, voter registration, extension of and as well, and also the fight against vote buying. All of those things is what is necessary to pay attention to as the build-up to Osun comes on very, very speedily. Let's guide you through this. The Independent National Electoral Commission has begun final preparations for the Osun governorship election. Well, following what many observers describe as a successful conduct of the recent Ekiti governorship election, expectations are now high that Osun will consolidate the gains made in electoral reforms. Of course, as preparations intensify, INEC is also taking bold steps to improve voter participation. The Commission also extended the nationwide continuous voter registration exercise by another 2 weeks. That's to give room for everyone who's turned 18, who are first-time timers, to also deal with the issue around getting registered. It has also introduced a self-service online registration platform that allows first-time voters to begin and complete their registration electronically before verification by the Commission.
But at the same time, the INEC has also talked about how vote buying remains one of the biggest threats to electoral integrity in Nigeria, and it has been calling on the media to be able to help in exposing the people who are vote buyers and trying to hold them accountable. So that's something that's also very important that would be covered in this particular discussion.
Well, the Commission also says journalists must help, like Mukhtar has just stated, in dealing with the issue around all of this, help expose electoral offenders because vote buying is criminal offense punishable under the Electoral Act. And so the question is INEC truly ready for Osun? What lessons have they learned from Ekiti? Can technology, of course, reduce electoral fraud? All of those things are concerns with. And also with the extension of voter registration, will that improve participation? Because we always see voter apathy in some cases where people still have doubts around them. But the INEC is also doing their bits to see that.
I think INEC has actually done well. If you look at the Ekiti election, before then, I think we had over 1 million people register.
Yes.
But in previous elections, you see that the voter turnout is 49% and 45%, but the previous election had a better voter turnout. So I think that's a big credit to INEC sensitization drive, and it's publicity basically. So it has done well in that particular regard. I will hope it builds up on that particular success with the Osun election. Every election should be an opportunity to even consolidate on the previous and gains of previous elections.
Of course. And how can Nigerians collectively stop vote buying? All of these concerns is what we're looking at. These are issues we want to pay attention to, and what a way to deal with this issue and talk about all of this concern, of course. And then joining us to have this conversation, who's joining us virtually, is the Deputy Director of Voter Education and Publicity of the Independent National Electoral Commission in person of Mr. WILFRED IFOGAH. It's good to have you join us this morning all the way, sir.
Good morning, and thanks for
having me. Thank you so much. To see how prepared INEC is. Of course, we see the amazing job you've done so far from your end to advocacy, information gathering, and also ensuring that there's enough time for voters to understand what it is like around preparations. But let's run through INEC's preparation for Osun. Give us a guide to what INEC is doing so far in preparations to the Osun election.
All right, for preparations for Osun election, if you can recall, the notice of election was actually publicized last year, precisely August 13, 2025, in preparation for Osun governorship election, because the law as at then provides that 360 days before the election, the notice of election should be published. And thereafter, this year, precisely around February, there was a review of that publication as it affects the activities of election because of the Electoral Act 2026 that was reenacted. Actually, then the Osun election was supposed to have been held on the 8th of August, but after the review or the revised timetable based on the Electoral Act, it is now to be done on August 15th, 2026. However, there are about 13 activities that we outlined for in preparation for the election. As we speak, 9 of them has actually been implemented. So just remaining the publication of the register for the election, also stoppage of campaign, and of course the election day proper itself, which is August 15. On the other hand, on the side of the commission, other activities have been going on. Some engagement with stakeholders, while others has to do with the commission's own activities, which include capacity building, voter education and sensitization. Even for us in voter education and sensitization as well, we've had engagement even at the beginning of, towards the end of June and this July. We've actually gone there for implementation of our programs as it has to do with sensitization. And thereafter, just about 2 weeks ago, we also engaged the media executives as well as reporters, including on-air reporter and online reporters as well, on some of the technology the commission is using, the electoral framework, as well as how the election will be conducted. So we engage them on those activities, and also to also let the media know about the online portal for media group that want to participate in the election to cover it, for them to be accredited, because only accredited media organizations will be allowed to participate. So outside that, the commission also has through our planning and monitoring department, they've been going there to engage with the state office there to ensure that everything we have outlined is done according to plan. Also, the operations department have been doing their bit as well. Then towards the end of this month, the Honorable Chairman and other members of the Commission will be in Ekiti to assess their level of preparedness. And that we also see him also being part of the peace accord that they will sign, as well as a test run of the beavers, a kind of mock exercise to ascertain the efficiency of the technological device, and also our staff, how prepared they are for this election. And the Honorable Chair will also engage the stakeholders in an expanded meeting, and other collaborating agencies, especially with transport owners, that will be engaging the chairman, as well as ICES, that's the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, to ascertain their level of preparedness in terms of securing the election properly. So these are so many other things that we have done. But so far, in terms of our activities for Osun, we've implemented, and there has been no cause for concerns for now.
That's clarity for Nigerians to understand what is actually in place for the election, because of course we've seen what has happened in Ekiti, and just like you mentioned, these are steps that are put in because of course there was a guideline preparation before this comes. But Mutar has something to
Thank you very much for bringing that particular perspective. I'd like for us to understand the Ekiti elections held not so long ago. So I'd like for you to tell us the lessons that was derived from that particular election in terms of security, in terms of logistics, and the preparedness of INEC, that is, and how it can be applied to the coming election in Osun State.
Okay, in terms of lessons learned, I think one of the challenges we had there will still be, although we've somehow overcame that. When you talk of election itself, it's just about logistics, especially when you consider Nigerian's terrain. Ekiti is a smaller state compared to Osun. Osun has about 30 local government areas with about 332 registration areas, and they have 3,763 polling units. So definitely the pattern for Osun will be quite different from Ekiti, as the case may be, because more vehicles will be deployed and more assistance will be needed in terms of transportation as well. But the Commission will not leave any stone unturned, because in Ekiti, we were able to achieve over 94% opening of pool before 8:30. Okay, so that was a good one. But yes, according to the resolve of the chairman, he said we should be able to achieve 100%. So having seen what happened in Osun, what led to whatever that made some units not to be open before that time. But there's one thing we have to bear in mind. There are communities that are hard to reach. And the commission has this plan where we actually camp our officials a night, or rather a day before the election day. And in that camp, we ensure that the place where we camp then is very secured. So if maybe within certain communities you're unable to get that, that means the officials will be camped in another location, and from there we'll move them to their polling units. So why, yes, we might not be able to get every of our officials and the materials to get to their polling unit as early as possible, but we do hope to be able to achieve that, so that maximum 8:30 or maybe 9 a.m. at least all units should be opened. So we have seen what happened in Oshu. Then also there were pockets of technological challenges experienced in the field. So the department involved in that, or that oversees that, also has taken notes of all these challenges, and they are working on that. Also, that will be the only election we'll be having that day. Unlike Ekiti, where we also had some pockets of by-elections, especially which cuts across Nigeria, as the case may be. This particular one in Osun, all hands will be on deck, and all the loopholes that we identified will be, taken care of this time around. So we do hope for a good outing, bearing in mind that every other stakeholder will play their role, especially with the security agencies, those who we have involved in helping us in the transportation by ensuring that their vehicles and other means of transport we have procured are in good condition. The ad hoc staff themselves that we recruit, we behave well and uphold every standard of integrity, as well as ethical this thing we expect them to abide with. And of course, even you, the media, helping us out as well to also monitor the progress and also reporting. The civil society groups playing their role. The electorates too, abiding by the laws, and the political parties featuring candidates, we also behave well. We all do hope that everything will go on smoothly.
You've been able to look at issues around the loopholes that you saw during the Ekiti election, but with Osun now, we want to ask around, because we also have issues around voter apathy, which plays out in some scenarios. Well, many analysts have also looked at it that Ekiti restored confidence in elections. Would you say INEC now has a tested template that they can work with to ensure that the trust is continued built on for the Osun residents as they go out to cast their votes?
All right. Well, when we talk about trust, I think the best we can do for now, apart from as we're engaging now and letting them know what we are doing and what we have put in place to ensure the process is transparent and open enough, is for us to continue to let people know this is what we are doing, how it's being done, and who is responsible actually. And in good time, if there are changes, we let them know what is actually happening. For Ekiti, yes, like people talk about voter apathy, though I have my own reserve about that, because not everybody will actually come out to vote on election day. Okay, so and you can't actually force people to come out. So most of the time, the responsibilities actually is still on the parties themselves, who will ordinarily canvass for votes. But then, instead of canvassing for votes, we find that most times they don't really go after the real thing they need to do. You find out that their campaigns are actually bereft of the real ideas or policies of the party or what they intend doing. But you find that on election day, people still report the issue of vote buying. You see, I remember in the intro, people talked about the issue of vote buying. So that's one ugly thing that has actually come in this own climb now in terms of election. But however, vote buying is a pointer to the fact that something has been done to ensure that every vote counts. And because every vote counts, these people look all out to get these votes by going after the voters to bribe them in order for them to, choose their party in whatever form they want. But this is not supposed to be so. And that is why the commission has actually come out to ensure that even while a voter is at the polling unit, no one sees what that voter is doing by providing the polling booth, which actually, secures them or covers them or obscures them from any other person that he or she has not actually asked to go and assist them in the polling booth. And more so, there is a method that is used, to pre-fold the ballot paper so that before they go and print, the ballot paper is pre-folded and given to them. And it's expected that they open it, do their thumb printing, close the ballot paper just the way it was given to them, and bring it to the open to come and drop. But then you find out that they look for all ways, all means, to sabotage this process or efforts. So, but then we still call on everyone, every law-abiding citizen, at least to uphold every standard of morality when it comes to this task of building our nation, especially the democratic process, to ensure that the process is devoid of all these anomalies, so that at least we can count ourselves, not just the commission, but Nigeria as one place everybody can look up to when you talk about a proper democratic process and in the process of choosing our leaders. Because the burden is not just on INEC alone. Like I do say, maybe maximum, maybe 40% of ensuring the integrity of the electoral process. That's what INEC actually carries. The every other is for every other person out there, every other stakeholder to play their part to ensure we have a good process.
Let's talk about some of the concerns. Most of the cases we look at during election is security concerns. Yes, I know that you said multi-stakeholder engagements, the security operatives, all of that. Are there concerns raised from the security angle to look at flashpoints where the security operatives will pay attention to know how they can also find a way around it so the people are sure of coming out in their numbers to vote?
Okay, in terms of at times, yeah, although these are known, so what ordinarily happens is that even before the elections, there are communities, probably they'll be having maybe communal clashes and maybe some other kind of conflicts. So first of all, this will raise some kind of red flag for us to know. So we have our officials in the field who bring these concerns to the state office, and then the state office, they look at it and know the level of electoral participation of these persons too. And these are things that are also communicated to the police. That's why we always engage them. So when we bring our concerns to them, they look at it and impute it in their own security framework on how to police the elections. So they continue to engage. And if there are new developments as it concerns security challenges, they also we also bring it to them. They also, try to, factor it into whatever arrangement they have. But well, this is an off-cycle election, so definitely in terms of security arrangements, there will be more than enough personnel on ground. However, we have to note this, that the electoral process is a civil activity. So we don't ordinarily need to expect that when we have personnel at the polling units, they'll be carrying arms. No, that's not the right practice. So that's why our polling units, you always see officials that are not armed. It is only on the outer corridor you have those that are armed, just in case there are issues that those within the polling unit are unable to, de-escalate. They call on support from their colleagues outside the outer corridor to come in to help out with the situation. If not, we hope that one day, as we continue to, engage, that we'll come to that level. Yeah, we don't need on election day the deployment of the number of securities here on election day, and also we don't even need to probably, say it's a work-free day or make it a public holiday and no movement, nothing. So at least while that business are going on, you can easily just go cast your vote and go back to your destination. So these are what we're actually looking for. But because of our style And is a culture or mindset? You see the level of deployment we are having as if we are actually going to war or to counter terrorism.
Mindset, because like I always also speak about that it's a multi-stakeholder engagement. INEC cannot do this alone, of course. We always say that, and we speak about from the side of the media, and also where we have security operatives, civil society, ensuring that there's proper sensitization to tackle these issues head on with INEC as well. But let's stick on to part of the conversations we're also looking at. The continuous voter registration exercise is something that INEC has put in so far, and INEC has recently extended the continuous voter exercise by 2 additional weeks. Why was that necessary? Was it to give room for more? Because I know that you had a lot of registration coming for Ekiti. Was it to give room for more for Osun State?
Okay, the extension of the exercise was not to give room for more for Osun State. As we speak, the registration for Osun has actually been concluded, and they have about 2 point. I can't get the exact fraction now, but they have over 2 million registered voters now. I think from about 1.9. Actually, the extension of the CVR exercise was to actually, like when INEC fix certain timelines for activities, and we do it in order to ensure, first of all, that people have enough time for them to do what they are supposed to do, and to also create time for the commission to be able to prepare and then submit the register in good time for stakeholders to see it. However, remember, we actually started this exercise last year in August. That was August 18th to be precise, 2025. And we are supposed to round up the exercise June 10th. This year, 2026. Sorry, July 10, 2026. But somehow, because of a lot of persons, the teeming population, that we are unable to register, because a lot of persons have done the pre-registration online, but we are unable to complete it in person. And the agitation is there, and a lot of persons have been complaining. They go to our offices. The bottleneck there is not making it seamless for them. So, however, the complaints actually came because we monitor these exercises and we see the way it's going to. And definitely the exercise was now extended, but it wasn't just extended. And something too was actually done. There was an update on the online platform now for self-service, because ordinarily before now, apart from those who were previously registered, who probably want to do transfer, apply for a replacement of their card, or do an update, these they can do online exclusively. Why those who are registering for the very first time, we only probably do a pre-registration online, then find themselves at any INEC designated center for them to complete their biometrics. But now the portal has been upgraded to now, accommodate them to complete their registration online without necessarily going to any INEC designated center. So, which is a plus in this exercise. So it now made it seamless. So for a first-time voter who is registering for the very first time, as far as you have a device that is connected to the internet and is equipped with the apps that can make you go through, you can complete your registration online. But for those doing it online, they have to, first of all, make sure they have their NIN and that their NIN is authentic. So that is when that particular aspect can allow them to complete their registration online. I'm also, in these 2 weeks too, weekends are also included. So both Saturday and Sunday. So as we speak now, this is Sunday, so our officials will be there to also assist those that are going to INEC offices to register. But those doing it online is anytime they can do it online. And we hope by the 26th that everybody that wants to get registered should be able to. But one thing is certain. At the end of the exercise, the collection of the PVC will be at the INEC offices designated for the local government area that covers the place where they want to vote.
Like identity theft will come up when you allow people to have this particular services. So how secure is this system? And then for people who are not in the urban centers, in the rural areas, are they also able to key into this particular initiative of the self-service if you look at the epileptic nature of our connection? So the question is, How secure is the system? And then what's inclusivity for people who are not in the urban centers for this particular service?
Okay. Then talking about how secure, in terms of identity theft, that's not possible. If you have listened just now, I said the prerequisite for you to be able to even use the portal to complete your registration online is your NIN. Remember, NIN has its own due diligence process in getting you registered, your biometrics and everything. So first of all, the system ensures that your NIN is verified and brings out your information. That is what we will now use to now start. For those that are using that portal, they will definitely let you know the process. So it makes it quite, intact. So it cannot just be breached easily. So your NIN is a prerequisite. So if you don't have it, you can't complete your registration online. So what you do, you have to look for an INEC and designated center to do that. Then for those that are in far-flung area, like we said, if you can't, or maybe in your area there's network issue, you just look for a way closer to where you can get the network to be able to do it. Or maybe better still, maybe some business centers should be able to offer that service as the case may be. Or better still, you look for the INEC office that is closest to you to be able to do that. What this invariably says that it has actually, or rather drastically reduced pressure on the various INEC offices we have by opening up the space or the means of getting registered. So in the terms of assurance, yes, the system can actually be breached, because all these have been taken into consideration before that update was done for people to be able to access that portal to complete their registration.
A whole lot of confidence around the security measures put in place for this particular self-service. But one concern, like we've been talking about, is around the issue of the votes. Let's go back to vote buying, because we're looking at Osun as well. All of this also preparation for Osun. Some Nigerians, they argue that poverty fuels vote buying. And now we're having voter education. We're also having where we're calling people in mass to come out, get registered, have their voter cards so that they can come out to put out. Can this voter education alone solve the problem of vote buying? That's one. And secondly, are politicians cooperating enough to say that there's no voter inducement so that we can have that process seamless?
Well, let me just put it this way. Just as the commission is actually doing or trying to upgrade and do more to ensure that our system, to increase the credibility of the process we are using, to ensure its integrity, and to ensure that no one sabotages the process. So also, some of these politicians are also looking for ways, to survive this process. Are you getting it? So, to me, I will look at it as probably it's not in the best interest of some of them that we are doing this. Okay, but we will not relent to continue to do what we can to ensure that the process is actually, fraud-free in terms of what they do. Then, in terms of vote buying, yes, the much I would say INEC can do, okay, is probably what we are actually doing right now, like using your medium now as a way, because those listening now, we get to know about what we are saying, and also collaborating organizations like civil society groups, our traditional leaders, our religious leaders, opinion leaders as well, public commentators too. I think this is another thing for them to also join their voices in speaking against these menace. But then you hardly hear the politicians speak against it. Okay, you only hear them cry, especially maybe after election. If they are not the ones who won, they complain about others who did vote buying. But meanwhile, they were involved in the process. Probably maybe the extent to which they have contributed wasn't as much as the other person. But then we on our part too, our own voter education strategy is not just on election day we are taking it now. We are actually starting from the grassroots, so to speak, by I want to start taking our campaign and sensitization even to schools, and that we have actually a template has been developed by one organization, KDI, with the Commission for Training of NYC members, and also maybe down to secondary school, by start teaching them, because this has to get our sister organization, which is NOAA now, and every other organization that is in the task to ensure proper civic responsibilities are upheld. So by so doing, you find out that the mindset will change. Because let me just give a clear example now. Our honorable chairman was in India in the first few months of his appointment as the chairman, where he went to observe their electoral process there. And because in India they don't use like here now where people talk about electronic transmission of results, they don't do electronic transmission of results, but they do electronic voting, where they don't have conventional ballot boxes just the way we have, but theirs is a machine where they identify the party they are going to vote for and do their thumbprint. The machine records it and a slip is generated. So these slips are later what is collected, and on a later date it is now sorted and counted. So the chairman posed the question to them, where do you now keep these slips? He said, yes, there's a place they warehouse it before the counting. He said, where, how secured is it? He said, it's secured. What and what? Who ensures the security? He said the police will be there and every other thing. Then they have CCTV. He said, what about if they compromise? He said they won't compromise. He said, are you sure? He said, okay, assuming they compromise, what was the sanction? He said, if they compromise, they will be suspended for some months or something like that. He said suspension. He said that's enough to cause a dent on the image of that person and probably who he represents. So, he not like, wow. He said in Nigeria, even if the person compromises and the person is sanctioned, maybe even jail the person for 2 years, he said they will still do it. So it has to do with our mindset and how the way we see things. So I think that's another thing, and probably maybe very, very soon we just all hands being on deck, working together, ensuring that proper democratic values and democratic institutions are protected and upheld in terms of their working or operating structures. We ensure that most of these things will be in place. We don't even need to cry about it, that if you are caught in it, you have yourself to blame. The shame will be upon you. But right now, like they said poverty has actually been weaponized, and because of that, you see a lot of persons openly say this is what I want to do. Because I was on social media recently where I saw, I think on TikTok, where a lady held the mother. I said, tie the mother's hand and leg, that the mother is not going out. So like I would say, because the mother said that she was going out to collect money so I can vote for one president. Although it was a joke kind of thing, but that's exactly what is happening. So persons are preparing now to like maybe counting what they want to get. But these are the things, we can't go into individuals' houses now to now start knowing who wants to do this or who wants to do that. So probably as they are listening, we just want them to let them know this, look, that for every amount somebody wants to pay you for your vote, know that that amount is not worth your vote, because your vote is far more than that. It might look nothing to you, but it has its impact. So they should put that in mind. Yes, if they give you 10,000, 20 or 30,000 naira, it cannot even give you a bag of rice or whatever. Is that what you're going to take for the next 4 years? So we want them to look at some of all these indices and some of all these things, put it in mind, because not everything, you're voting, although they are doing it on behalf of us, like me now, I can't vote on election day, not because the law bars me from it, but because for out of, probably neutrality, I don't vote. But then mine is to ensure that you get the materials and we get you the staff that will ensure that it's properly organized. Then you out there will have to go and ensure the proper thing is done.
Very long stretch of people to understand what it is like to go out to vote and understand what it holds for them, because if you have proper structure in place, proper governance system, everyone as a nation stands to enjoy when you know the power that is in your votes.
Most definitely. I know, talking about strengthening our electoral integrity, I am aware that the INEC recently commenced a 2-day workshop for workers on anti-corruption and sensitization for its staff as part of its efforts to strengthen election integrity for 2027. It was themed Corruption-Free Elections, Integrity Matters, with a focus on transparency and accountability. So my question to you is, will this particular initiative, this workshop and training, will it help in terms of curbing voters' buying and inducement in our elections, especially looking ahead to 2027?
I think you are referring to, I think, the workshop we had with ICPC, I guess. Did you hear me?
No. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, yeah. I recently, I think a few days back, the ICPC were in the commission to engage the commission on some of all these issues so that our staff will be well aware of what's expected of them during the elections. But however, even on the part of the commission, we, as part of the demands from staff, we have our condition of service that spells out the proper behavior for staff in terms of integrity, neutrality, accountability, and all the positive attributes that is needed of them in the discharge of their duty. Yes, on election day, you can't tell. There might be some who will still flout some of these expectations from them. And that is why before any major exercise, every staff is expected, especially those involved, to sign the oath of neutrality, which we refer to as the AC 17. So we expect everyone. Apart from that, there are a lot internally that we engage the staff with for them to do the best when the opportunity calls. And on our own, we have a lot of staff have been, we found wanting for improper behavior or dealings or engagement, and the commission actually took the necessary step to ensure that such staffs were disciplined and also to forestall such occurrences. Well, like I would say, there is no act to tear the mice construction on the face, so you cannot tell who is going to do this or do that. But however, no stone is left unturned in terms of ensuring that everyone is kept in check and on guard on why discharge. That's why, like Osun, now that we are preparing for elections, apart from the ad hoc staff we are deploying, there are supervisors watching over them. There are area supervisors watching over them. There will be monitors coming from neighboring states, and these include the resident electoral commissioners, and of course, national commissioners will be there. And apart from that, the commission keeps on training, and in some of these training sections through capacity building, the admonition also comes into for them to uphold every high standard of responsibility in the discharge of their duties, because the mission of the commission is to conduct free, fair, credible, and inclusive election that is acceptable to all. And the vision is to be among the best or one of the best election management body globally. So if all this is anything to go by, then we have to uphold every high standard of morality in the discharge of our duty, including myself.
To be one of the best election management body across the globe, which is the best thing we could look forward to as a nation, because it gives us an edge and shows transparency and accountability properly put in place. You've talked about offenders being going to be prosecuted when they get into the vote buying issue, all of those concerns, which also should put fears on the minds of those who are intending to get into the vote buying mindset, which is something we're looking forward to. And just like you said, the media should expose as much as they see. So we look forward to seeing more exposure coming out to play for INEC, or coming out to play for media practitioners who will be on ground to monitor the process. I've covered elections severally, and I've seen this right in front of me in different patterns, different formats. But like we always do, we give feedback to INEC and tell the story just like we see on the field. And we look forward to seeing Osun do far much better and consolidate on the gains of Ekiti election. But let's look beyond Osun elections because, of course, it's also a way to build up to 2027 general election in terms of the CVR and all of that, to see that elections comes out very strong. The CVR, of course, like you said, is not just because of the Osun election, it's also preparations also to guide towards 2027 and ensure that people understand the mindset to owning a voter card and valuing their votes, and not allow the mindset of poverty take up that place of choosing the right person through your vote to come. And of course, you've talked about the technological innovations with Nigerians should expect, how you're consolidating on what you have on ground, where the affairs are laid from being, just like my colleague said, thefts, identity thefts is something Nigerians should not worry, because those are considerations the Commission has looked at, and there are also a lot of reforms INEC is also looking at to do, because of course, when you plan, it's a multi-stakeholder thing. Other stakeholders also have little challenges here and there. I know where INEC had put out a stern warning to one of the logistics company who worked with for that had delays, and he had given stern warning, the INEC chairman, to logistics failure, that INEC cannot do their own end, and then when it comes to delivering the materials, it becomes a problem. So what message would INEC say they have for first-time voters who are coming into voting for the first time, whether it's at the Osun election or at preparations or getting into the 2027 election, with all of these measures you've put in place through your reforms as a commission?
All right. For first-time voters, I want to say, for those who just registered now, I want to say congratulations for the opportunity to be able to exercise your voting rights, whether in Osun or maybe in the forthcoming general election next year. So when you receive your voter card, the first thing, try to, if you are not used to the particular polling unit you are going to vote, you ask questions, especially maybe from those who have been doing it, or if you are in that area, you find out, especially when you are used to the terrain. So on election day, ordinarily the exercise, as we've been doing, is between 8:30 in the morning and 2:30 in the afternoon. So it's expected that where you are voting is not far from where you're staying, because somehow movement is restricted on election day. So to avoid harassment, it's better let it be a walking distance from where you stay. Or if it's far, probably you have to, maybe a day before then, you can, relocate to that point where, it's just a stone throw, a walking distance for you to your polling unit. So when you get there, you'll find that the polling units, our officials are there. There are other persons you find there, party agents. You also see the media group, journalists will be around. You see observers around. Then other voters like you will also be there. So a line or a queue will be in place, especially when they are much. And depending on how the setup is, some might even use ropes to demarcate where the voters should queue in order for them to approach the officials' table for them to continue with the process. Then in some places too, a copy of the register will be pasted on strategic points at that polling unit, so that voters can, before approaching the desk, they can check their name on the list. That makes accreditation process easier, and also to be double sure that your name is in that particular polling unit you are coming to exercise your voting rights. Then when you're sure of that, you queue and you'll be controlled by one of the INEC official at the polling unit. So when you get there, the first thing is that they will identify you using the BVAS, which is the Bimotor Voter Accreditation Device. So there's one thing I want to let every voter know. Accreditation is, the BVAS must accredit you. If the BVAS doesn't accredit you, you won't be able to vote. Okay? So once the BVAS, there are two main ways to identify you. Is either they use your fingerprint. If your information pops up, okay, accredits you immediately digitally. Or if it doesn't use that, it uses your photograph. So they use the beavers to, place over your face, just like they want to take your photograph, and it identifies you. In most cases, the photograph aspect is faster and quicker. It takes a few seconds. Once your photo is in the system already, it identifies you, and you are accredited electronically. Then the next stage is for the next official there to the APO1 now to now check the manual register that is printed, for them to now check the box by your name. You also see your photograph is there. They will check it. Then indelible ink is applied on your thumb. Then the presiding officer, who is the person coordinating that unit, will now give you a ballot paper. You have to also be a bit attentive to check if that ballot paper is signed and is stamped and dated by the presiding officer. If not, if a ballot paper that is not signed, stamped, and dated finds its way inside the ballot box during sorting and counting, do we believe that it is not original, that is fake or not authentic? So ensure, watch the back. And also, the way the presiding officer will even fold it, he's going to pre-fold it with the back side of it where he stamped and signed, will be the one that is visible, not inside it. So that's what you now take to a cubicle. That cubicle ensures that whoever you're going to print for is not visible to other persons. And the cubicle is put in such a way that nobody sees what you are doing, not party agents, not the security agencies, not the INEC officials, or even the other voters that are on the queue. So when you get into the box, the voting cubicle, you thumbprint on the side where you have the space for the thumbprint. Then you fold back just the way the presiding officer folded and gave to you. Then you take it out from there. You come to where the ballot box is placed and place it inside and drop. So once you're done with that, you've excised your franchise. But if you now choose to wait around to see how things go, the rules provide that you give a distance of about 300 meters from that area, so that other persons that have not done theirs be able to do it, and also not to cause any form of chaos around there. So you give space. And also, after they are done by 2:30, if there are no other voter on queue as at 2:30, once it's 2:30, sorting and counting begins. Thereafter, you may decide to just come around and hear how the sorting and counting is done. So once that is done, the presiding officer comes out with the result sheet, where he enters the figures scored by each party on the result sheet. It is now tabulated and calculated. Then every party figures is called out aloud. Then once that is done, the presiding officer will sign the result sheet. The party agents will also countersign. That result sheet is what is now snapped using the beavers. That is what is now transmitted electronically to what we call the INEC Result Viewing Portal, which is the IREF. So that is to ensure that whatever happens in that polling unit, every other person that is not in that unit can access and view it online to know what transpired in that polling unit. So especially like you that is there and wants to see it, you can view it. If you have access to the internet immediately, you view it and see what happened. Then everywhere around the world, as far as you have connection to the internet, you can know what happened at that polling unit. So that result is transmitted, and the presiding officer from that polling unit will now take
Mr. IFOGAH. Before we wrap up, you said quite extensively, you've given us an education, if you like. But many people who are apathy in terms of voting, the reason they tell you is because they are scared their vote would not count and it's a waste of their time. So what message do you have for them as a final take-home message in terms of how their votes can count and it's not a waste of time?
Okay, I just want to say this. I think this is just it. If the vote does not count, there will be nothing like vote buying. There will be nothing like vote buying. If it doesn't count, nobody will buy your vote. Because if it doesn't count, nobody will bother paying money for people's votes. I want them to take this in mind. If the vote does not count, nobody will buy it. It's because it counts. That is why people are paying for votes. So they should take that. So that's why if you want to vote, make sure you don't get paid for you to be able to vote, because your vote will count.
The mindset runs that votes will not count. Most times when you listen to conversations around citizens, there's a bit of fear. We'll do this, we'll do that, but just like you've put out very straight, there's a right way to go, that you understand that your vote actually counts. That's why people go all the way, spend money to actually buy that vote. I've been at a forum where it was raised around the issue of vote buying, and the concern was if Nigerians understand this mathematics or of how political class buy votes, they should demand more money, collect the money, and decide their conscience. It was just at a forum where this was spoken about. But you made it very clear, your vote actually counts as Nigerians. So please come out in your numbers, just like Mr. WILFRED IFOGAH has said, come out in your number and vote, because the enable environment is there by INEC, a lot of voter education out there, sensitization, and you understand what the process is. And this is where we want to say a very big thank you to the Deputy Director of Voter Education and Publicity at the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. WILFRED IFOGAH. Thank you so much for your time, for bringing us up to speed, telling Nigerians what they need to understand in terms of preparations to Osun, because we're counting down to Osun already. And just like you said, from the listed items for what's guidelines for Osun, a lot has been done already. Almost half of it's gone past time already, and it's just a build-up for it. Thank you for also ensuring that first-timers understand what their role is and how to get themselves registered and get out to vote on election day and get the answers to the right person who they trust can give them the best leadership and governance across all cadre of governments there. Thank you so much for your time with us. It was a pleasure having you join us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, from what you've heard from the Deputy Director there for INEC, there he said a whole lot, and I'm sure Nigerians understand it better now.
Of course, like I said, it was an education, because many of us are not aware of all of these issues you raised, especially around the CBR and the cleaning up of the exercise, and of course even the digital system that has been introduced now. Many of us were not aware of this, so this is a very commendable effort on his part, and we really appreciate him. And one thing he said that was very profound for me is, we always think that our votes do not count. But he has said, if it doesn't count, then why do you think they're paying money for? That shows actually is important.
There's a whole lot.
So of course, we hope we have to, as electorate,
change their mindset.
Very, very. It begins with the mind. We have to be very conscious of the information we absorb in, because when you absorb that information and you make it a reality, then it's what you see. If you believe that your vote would not count, then most likely it might not count. But if you have the positive mindset that I would believe this process and it's going to work out for me, and you shall see that it actually works out for you.
Okay, well, from what we have there, it shows that the integrity of every election depends not only on the electoral process or the electoral umpire himself. Of course, the electoral process has to be there, but it's not only the electoral umpire, that's INEC, but also on the commitment of political actors, the media, security agencies, and citizens to uphold democratic values. As Osun prepares to elect a new governor, voters are reminded to take advantage of extended continuous voter registration exercise and reject every form of vote buying or electoral malpractice if they want to see the best leadership come to play for them.
Yes, indeed, because democracy, we know, thrives on citizens' participation, and responsible participation, very important, whether it is through your vote or through your voice, or through making sure that you do not get yourself involved in electoral malpractices. All of this will go a very long way in strengthening our democracy here in Nigeria, and it's going to help us get the country, Nigeria, to be the country of our dreams.
Of course, if you want Nigeria to be the country of your dreams, because you see a lot of things and you want that to replicate in Nigeria, it starts with you as an individual. Starts our mindset. You start changing our minds, have positive mindset to good things. Just like Mr. IFOGAH said, I'm looking forward to seeing INEC being one of the best election management body in the world. And what a way to go! If we have
not rocket science. The people that do it, we already did. It's a certain template you follow. So if we're able to follow that, then you see yourself at the top. If you work hard at it, and of course you are sincere in your motive, then the Lord is going to help us to become the best.
Of course, that's where we draw the curtains on this particular segment of the program. We'll come up and we'll bring a very interesting conversation that you won't want to miss. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this time out.